Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you, Happy, for lurking. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hope you're well. Had a good weekend. And we're back with more. Wait, no. Wait, was it? No, no, I had it top left. What am I on about? Never mind. We're back with more Horizon, baby. Hang on. Ugh.
Listen to my story.
This may be
our last chance.
Samurai_edgerunner_Jax just subscribed, 40 months. Where does the time go?
I know, right? 40-month resub. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for the 40 months at tier 1. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Live at the time of my life. Been good. Good to hear. Good to hear. But, yeah. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Hope everyone's doing good. That good stuff. You've been playing Final Fantasy 13 on the stream deck? Ooh, nice, nice. How's that run? How's that been running? Yeah, because the 13 games are on stream, aren't they? On Steam, aren't they? Because I've got 13 on PS3, then I got 2 and Lightning Returns on the Xbox. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Hope that's been going right. I've seen a lot of people play 13 recently. I'm not sure if that'll be the next Final Fantasy game we play. It might be 12. Thinking to do 12. The Zodiac Age version as well of Final Fantasy 12. That's kind of my idea. Or if I want to use my Switch a bit more, I will do the pixel remasters. We'll see. I'm umming and ahhing at the minute. But yeah, welcome back everybody to more for Horizon Forbidden West. So yeah, we are currently we did a load of stuff here, not mistaken, and then we ended up started going around through here, and ended up doing this rebel camp, which is now turned into a settlement. Very nice. So what we're gonna do is fast travel to this campfire, and we're gonna continue our way through this area of land. Few side quests here. So there's a rebel outpost right there, and then there's Hall's Edge, which is a quest that we need to do. Blood for blood. We'll activate that. But we'll do the rebel outpost on the way. And then we'll also probably do the Valley of the Fallen with level 28. I mean, we could. I mean, we're right there, and we're what, level 39? So, I mean, we're 10 levels over, so it probably should be. You know, it should be okay. And then we'll probably try and work our way across then to Thornmarsh, maybe the Cauldron. And we'll try and explore this sort of area of land today. Oh, you've ordered the novel? Let's go, Epi. Let's go. When have they given you a date of when it's coming? like delivered to you? Because I'm guessing it's a proper like full blown like book that you got. It's playable, but it's not fully compatible. Basically, it just means that the game's launcher setup tool requires touchscreen or a virtual keyboard to do anything. Ah, okay. Gotcha. I'm with you. I hope you're well happy. Oh, yeah, but it's definitely going to be $40 well spent. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, $40 for graphic novels, probably not the most... I mean, that's quite nice. In all honesty. Like, in my mind anyway, in terms of books. It's like, I know some novels slash like graphic mangas and stuff like that, they're way more. Obviously, the popularity does help that. I lost my mount? Shit, I had it earlier. Fuck. Okay. We're going on foot. It's thick. And it's a hardcover. Ooh, nice. I do prefer if I don't read books often, well, if at all, but I am more of a hardback than a I'm guessing softback.
That's a rebel outpost. I'll have to find who's in charge and take them out.
Literally just you? That can't be it. Hold on. Pew! Well, there goes your helmet. There goes your tail. I don't want to know where everybody is. Oh. That was a headshot. Oh no, it's not softback, it's paperback, isn't it? Paperback, not hardback. Softback. I just remembered in my head. I was like, softback? That's not right. It really isn't right, you know? It just no. Rebel, fire, close rider, ice. Okay. Hey, stay. Go. Go, frostbitten. Where? What? Who? Acid bristleback. Apex acid bristleback. Oh no. Oh no. Dead. Dead. Oh, level 40. Nice. Oh, I easily spend $200 a month on books. Damn. Real bookworm then. Yeah, the last time I bought a quote-unquote book was an e-book. You know, well, not Kindle, but yeah, like a electric book, e-book, whatever you want to call it, online book. And it was Traces of Two Pasts, which is Final Fantasy VII related. It's part of the remake saga, like trilogy storyline, and it goes into the backstory of Tifa and Aerith. And it was actually a really nice read. Really nice read. But beyond that, once you get into the game itself, it functions perfectly on the Steam Deck. Ah, there we go. Then that's not too bad then. And the fact that it like runs fine as soon as once the game actually launches is, I mean, that's. I will say the Steam Deck is like really. I've heard it's like really like it's a pretty awesome quote unquote console. It's a portable PC game. Portable PC. It's a handheld PC console launcher. One of my good friends employs as a deck 2 seems to be too much of a headache. He always kind of... Yeah, I think
The heavy armor must be the leader of the bunch.
if you're trying to run like the AAA titles, it probably will struggle. I bet The Witcher 3 runs alright on its own.
I have to come. I need help.
But I think it's just more for like portable gaming. Which is what it's for, I guess, but... Oh, you love reading, always have? Nice. Hell yeah. I mean, reading nowadays is a kind of a dying art. But no, it's never really been for me. I've been more of a like visual.
I should take them to Duca.
Like I try and yeah, I think I'm more engaged when if I'm watching it than reading it, if that makes sense, because I find my eyes when I'm reading, my eyes kind of like I read like a page and my eyes will kind of go to the bottom really quickly, but then my brain hasn't like processed what I've just read, so I kind of like go back. I'm like, okay, hang on, and go back up to where I was reading to, and then before my brain runs away from me, sort of, my eyes running away from me, so to speak. That's probably why I haven't read too many books. They aren't supported to any degree. You can't play on it, but any game that has been fully tested on Steam Deck are playable. Yeah, the games that aren't supported, yeah. I'm with you. Okay, so that's cleared. Nice. Meet Decker then. Oh, I was saying that was a long way down.
Didn't stick the landing.
No, you didn't, Aloy. You didn't. You didn't. It is fine. Goldthorn pepper. Okay, that's probably just for cooking. Don't want rocks. I don't use them. Like, ever. Oh, I have 4 skill points. Hang on. Probably pump some. Kingdom Hearts HD collection is fully compatible. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, because that only got released on Steam quite recently as well. And the HD collection. That's really good. Archer. 20% extra damage boost. No. Kind of feel like I've gotten I want, really. I think if I was trying to see if I've missed anything. I can get some techniques for Bolt Blaster. Oh, I can unleash an entire clip of bolts. Oh, that's quite nice, actually. I can do a spread blast. Okay. Should probably start pumping these techniques. Weapon. Triple notch. Knockdown shot. Ultra shot. Final Fantasy VII Remake integrated is fully compatible as well. Wow. I'm surprised that's compatible, to be honest. That I am surprised. That, I'm just checking what like skills or things I need to look out for. Yeah, I think it's gonna be, what's it, hunter? Yeah, hunter skills. That's probably what I'm gonna try and just max out now. Fine. What we do with? I could do with some medicinal. Worrying that there's none in the wild.
The cook should know what to do with this.
Friendly? Hi. Oh, am I an ally now? Oh, sweet, let's go. Oh, past. Don't worry, don't mind me. Don't mind. Hello, hello, hello.
There's
Oh.
Fall's Edge.
Who wants to play some strike?
I'm not for no.
You must be precise.
Both HC 220 and Kingdom Hearts 3 are fully compatible as well.
I'm telling the truth.
Listen to him, Oroke.
Not a chance. He's a traitor.
Oh, I haven't got any. I can't cook anything. Great MRE. No. Use that much. There's probably an armorer and a encampment thing. That's water. That's what we want to go, Aloy. Come on. Come on. Come. I get up top then. Oh, I'm just gonna steal that real quick. Stairs. I knew that. I saw that. Herbalist. Horizon Zero Dawn's also fully compatible. And that's a pretty. I know it's a PS4 game, but that's still a pretty hefty game. Maybe it's just
Enjoy your time in our settlement.
I mean, there is such a thing as like a bad, not batch, but like, you know, you can get ones where not have more issues than others. Really, that's all you have? Yeah, the Seeker Hunter bow is nice. Like, don't get me wrong, that's nice. Tenakth Dragoon. Ooh, hello. Oh, it's mounted combat. Okay. I saw Dragoon and I was like, Final Fantasy, hello? I was like, oh my. Do I want to get traps? Not really. Rockbreaker Mining Claw? Yeah, sure. The hell not. Oh, 3 weapon upgrades. Hold on. Oh, shit, I haven't even sold my weapons. The weapons I've got rid of. Okay. Yeah, sharp shot bow. Caster, don't want that. Bolt blaster, don't want that. Oh, I didn't sell the things I my resources. Ding dong. Oh, now what? The one weapon I can upgrade is the Vanguard Hunter Bow. Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yeah. I not upgrade it. Okay. Maybe I just bought it and just forgot about it. Okay. So I think all of the yeah, apart from the Purge Water's only max level, but then all the others are pretty much level 1 or level 2. The Sunshot's the only one that's level 2. Some of them you need like really, really freaking back to Marsh. Health tear +2. Oh, okay. I kind of want. I want to upgrade this, but I need a Clamber Jaw Tail Duster. Okay.
We walk in strength.
Yeah, I'm sure we do, buddy. I'm sure.
The rebels are going to attack.
Decca, what's going on?
Aloy, I'm glad you're here. This is Oroke, leader of Fall's Edge.
So you've enlisted the Chief's champion in your dull-bladed efforts.
You must be Cavo then.
My grandson. And a soldier trying to right his mistakes.
Or trying to lure us into a trap. My scouts caught him, sneaking around on the outskirts of the village.
I wasn't sneaking around. I was coming to warn you. The rebels are planning an attack. They're going to send a machine straight through this village. I left my post when I realized what they were planning. You have to believe me.
Where are the rebels now?
They were hunting for the machine north of here. I can show you the way.
The only thing you'll do is face trial by combat. You betrayed your clan. Your chief. Blood and blades will decide your fate.
I'll fight whoever you want, after we stop the attack.
Okay.
Why destroy this village? I thought Regala's fight was with Hikaru.
Hikaru was a lowlander before he was chief. Unlike the Desert and Sky clans. We stand behind him without question. Fall's Edge is a strategic midpoint between the Grove and our capital on the coast.
It's true. Our orders were to cut off Hikaru's support from the Lowland clan. But I thought that meant disrupting supply routes, not slaughtering an entire village.
Oh, sweet naivety. Also, full Steam Deck compatibility just means all functionality is successful when using the default controller configuration. The game shows Steam Deck controller icons. In-game interface text is legible on Steam Deck, and the game's default graphics configuration performs well on Steam Deck. Ah, okay.
You said you defected after you found out about the attack.
Gotcha.
Why'd you change your mind?
When I joined the rebels, I thought Regala was going to lead us into battle against our old enemy, the Karja. But all we've done is kill each other. And for what? Pride? Vengeance? So when my squad leader told us about the mission to destroy this village, I left my post.
Don't believe his lies. Anyone who deserted the tribe to join Regala knew exactly what they were getting themselves into.
Not everyone.
Why not? Just let him run after. If we go after the machine, let him come with us. If he dies, he dies.
If Cavo is telling the truth, this whole village is in danger. We have to find and stop these rebels.
The rebels built a campfire north of the river, near the cliffs. I can show you the way from there.
Okay. Open it up, or okay?
No. I won't give him the chance to escape. The traitor stays here until his trial by combat.
Then I invoke blood for blood. I will take Cavo's place until he returns.
You're making a mistake, Chaplain. The clan needs your guidance, not the lies of this bare-armed
We tried to push the game to ultra settings, or with or without ray tracing. That's when the Steam Deck will struggle.
Go with Aloy.
Then I'm going to. If the boy speaks truth, you'll need my blade. If he lies, I'll run him through. I must make arrangements here first. Then I'll bring the boy to the meeting place.
That's fair. I mean, it is literally basically a Nintendo Switch, but for PC. I know it's more than that, but in simple terms, that's pretty much what it is. I know I wouldn't expect it to be like 4K ultra graphics. You know, it's probably 1080p would be perfect. It's perfectly fine for a game for a Steam Deck. They shouldn't put games on there that, pardon me, that go up to higher resolutions. Personally, or if they do, they should just cap it at the 1080p mark.
The campfire that Cavo mentioned should be nearby.
So if this quest is what, level 19? Yeah, and I'm level 40.
But
This
not Cavo,
might
not
go
Oroke.
down quite quickly. But you know,
Friends of Cavo's. Going to have to take them out to get to that camp.
level 25. So kill the rebel scum. Nope. They all got helmets on. Can't really see this one. Oh, he had a helmet on. Okay. That is a shame. Oh, Aloy, come on. Oh no! Shame.
Are these rebels waiting to ambush whoever showed up? Cavo has some explaining to do. Better wait at the campfire for him and Oroke.
I think games like Cyberpunk, but game like Persona 5, Persona 4 Golden being on high settings wouldn't make the Steam Deck struggle as far as I know anyway. Right, okay, gotcha. Yeah, because it's not a graphically intense game, Persona 4 Golden, as far as I know. Like, Cyberpunk I get, and like Witcher I kind of get, and like this game, Forbidden West, I know it's not on PC, but I get, like God of War Ragnarok, I get, because it's like really intense high graphics. But yeah, I mean, Persona I would kind of expect it to be okay.
Found a few of your friends when I got here, Cavo. You're not off to a great start.
They must have been out on patrol. I swear on the 10, I didn't know they'd be here.
What did I tell you? His lies are an open sore. Better we cauterize it now than let it fester.
No! I'm telling the truth!
Untie him.
As you say. But this is a mistake.
And my weapon?
If you think...
Just give it to him, Oroke. We need to get moving.
Lead the way.
Oh, we brought spares. Oh, Forbidden West is on PC? My bad, I didn't realise what it was. Follow Cavo. This is definitely not going to be a trap, right? Right? Definitely going to be not a trap. Everything's going to be A-okay. You know, nobody's going to get murdered.
Where are you leading us?
The rebels are stationed at the nearby cliff falls. I took this path when I left my post. The others won't be expecting anyone to come this way.
Or they
He
are,
says,
and will be skewered the moment we arrive.
as we get, yeah.
There's the cliff falls.
And there's no one there, as I suspected.
Let's just keep going.
I don't like this.
I don't like it either, buddy. I don't like it either, buddy. But we just gotta do what we gotta do. Wait. Good. But it's just not on Steam Deck as of yet. I mean, unless they make like a version 2 or version 3 of, then I can't imagine Forbidden West being compatible.
Where is everyone?
No rebels, no machine. What did I say?
Over there, by the falls.
Blood of the dead. If that thing runs through Fall's Edge, the village stands no chance.
Then we stop them. Right here.
On your lead, Aloy.
Search for them.
Nothing will stand in our way now!
What's a behemoth?
March on Fall's Edge!
Call out anything unusual.
Bing. Dead. Shock drum. Hold on. I don't have a shock arrow, but that's fine.
You see that too?
Alright, fine. Fuck you then.
It's Cabo! He led them right to us!
Rita! Walk straight to that one. I walked straight into that one. I know I did. Fuck. Fuck! I'm really dead. Ow! You're right, you're right. Come on, I dodged that. Nope. Okay. Ow. Oh no 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 no. Oh, nice.
We did it.
Okay, nice. We got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Please, cat. Please, the cat. I'm just looting. I'm just looting a minute. We good?
Cavo, you're bleeding.
I'll be fine. What matters is the attack was stopped.
Because of your warning, you saved many lives today.
Yeah. After I was just saying that you should die because you were a traitor, you saved many lives today.
I cracked some ribs, too.
Go on ahead. I'll see him back to the village.
Okay. I'll let Decca know what happened.
Yeah, he's broken a few ribs. 6 to 8 weeks, hospital bed. You're not going to see him for a little while. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is compatible on Steam Deck. Oh, nice, nice. Because that's Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, isn't it? Any more medicine? That's the PS5 Remaster Collection, yeah. And back to... Yeah, I think I bought that to play Lost Legacy.
There walks Kara. Hail, Outlander! Yeah. The next time on the walk around, heading to the road.
600 health. My defense is probably absolutely shot.
This'll break my fall.
But without Cavo and Oroka.
Oh, they were killed.
3 leave, only you return? What happened?
Cavo was telling the truth. The rebels had a behemoth. Cavo was injured in the battle, but we stopped the attack. Oroke...
Regrets that he doubted the boy. Your grandson proved himself to be honest and brave, Chaplain. He's loyal to the lowland.
So you'll release him?
He's earned his freedom. But it'll take many more deeds to earn back the rest of the clan's trust.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Oh, keep at it, buddy, and you'll be fine. I know this sounds harsh, but imagine just went... She just...
Thank you,
Nice.
Aloy.
Indeed. Falls Edge owes you a great debt. May this begin to repay it.
Thank you.
As soon as you're healed, I have so much to show you.
Welcome back, Cavo.
Blood for blood. My quest done? Nice. Doke. I was like, huh? Oh, what did I get it? What did I get? What did I get? Perimeter Tripcaster. We got Lofty Ambitions. Need to know the second verse, Valley of the Fallen. Well, Valley of the Fallen is the closest. I will head to...
Looks like some rebels
in my room,
machine.
as per usual.
Drugs here. Maybe one got away? I should look around with my focus.
Right. Okay. What are we saying? Also 5 is... Yes, I did. I saw something online that they officially announced FF16's on November time. That's what I think. Ow. I will climb. I must climb. Yeah.
That must be the entrance to the Valley of the Fallen. Marshal Evira should be around here somewhere.
Hey.
There's Marshal Evira, with one of the missing Tanakh.
You saw what happened as clearly as I did.
Oh.
Marshal Evira.
I can finally play that game since it's now a PS5. Yes. Yeah, he doesn't have a PS5, does he?
Where are the
That
others?
is a bit shit though, that it takes like 3 years for a PS5 to come
I
on
had
P.
to fight off several machines just to get Kanala out. The valley was closed months ago for good reason. Machines have gathered in number, as if they're drawn there by something. Not to mention the strange glowing lights off the coast.
The valley is cursed. We never should have gone in.
Evira. You were one of the challengers at the Kulrut. The one who fired the ballista at the Slitherfang.
And you're the champion who defeated it. Saved the chief's life. Revealed the truth of the visions.
I was just doing what I could to help.
You made quite an impression that day.
Hmm.
And despite the carnage, it was the best day of my life. I became a marshal. Bore witness to the vision of unity.
Hell yeah.
You said there are strange lights off the coast.
Looks like somebody that would be in like
From
Black
an island
Panther.
to the south. They appeared one day out of the blue around the same time the machines moved into the
Oh.
valley.
I'll look
There have
about it.
also been reports of a streak of light that rises and falls in the sky above the island.
I saw it on the fourth night. A flame that climbed in the sky until it disappeared among the stars.
Is there any way to get to the island?
No. The currents between the island and the shore are too strong. You'd drown for sure.
Oh, it's on an island. I wonder if this has something to do with the Zeniths.
Don't know what any of that's about, but maybe?
Yeah, shouldn't that be something that you say internally?
If the valley's been off limits for months, why did you go in?
We wanted to run the trial.
The valley is a great test for lowland soldiers. Survive for 10 days and nights. Take down any machine that stands in the way.
Dax had a plan. We'd hunt down each machine one by one until we cleared the valley. Earned the clan's respect. But we got separated from Iveka after the third day. Then machines cut us off from the way out. By the time Marshal Evira found us, we were wounded and out of supplies. More machines attacked us as we made our escape. Dax was right behind us, but he couldn't run fast enough.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my dad was working on my car. I had to get the brakes sorted and stuff over the weekend, so I just finished up tonight. I mean, that was all finished. It was awesome, so...
A lot of machines in one place. Sounds bad.
Yeah, sounds bad. I'm gonna go in.
See if I can put a stop to it.
Then I'll come with you. Fight by your side.
No. Better let me take a look first. Trust me, it's for the best.
I guess if you insist. Once you're in the valley, head for the Great Falls and the cliff south of the Metal Devil.
Oh, that
The
just
machines seem
screams
attracted to
normal,
the
and that
site.
Metal Devil.
Got it. Thanks.
We'll rest here a while more, then head for the medic in Fall's Edge. Strike true as the 10, Aloy.
Okay, so I think this is the one of the higher side. That's the highest side quest, but in terms of errands, we've got a few 32s.
Something's attracting machines into the valley. Sounds like some kind of lure.
Bless me, Jesus.
Something's holding up.
Hey, when I stop sneaking. And chunk, yeah.
A few months without use and this trail's falling apart. Or is this part of the trial?
Probably part of the trial. Funny. Ba-ba-ba. Nice. My case is that I've just nicked because Wink.
Okay, let her follow the trail. Hope this bridge holds up. That is a long way to fall.
Well, now you've just spoken to existence, Aloy. The bridge is going to snap. Either on the way or the way back. One of the two. Once you speak something into existence, it's going to happen. That's called foreshadowing. We're watching it. Oh yeah, she's streaming on YouTube, isn't she? Resident Evil 1 remake. Yeah, on GameCube. I hope she's. Has she played Resident Evil? I don't think she had. I hope she enjoys it. She's playing it off original hardware. So I watched her gaming PC build. That was a lot of fun. That was quite nice, actually. And her cost breakdown.
I gotta climb up higher. This really is a trial.
Really good stuff. Yeah, it's first time playthrough. Ah, nice. I hope she enjoys. I did really like Resident Evil. Definitely one of the better one of the better Resident Evil games.
Made it.
In terms of like this, in terms of ones that have tank controls. Definitely one of the better ones. Like compared to say Resident Evil 0, which was probably best if we don't talk about it. That was I remember playing that. That was rough. Go to the waterfall. Go to the area south.
Another dead machine.
Took
a lot of hits to bring this one.
I think Resident Evil 0 is my first Resident Evil game that I ever played. It wasn't 2 remake. It wasn't like 4 remake. Resident Evil 0.
Dead to Nox. That must be Dex. Knocko's brother.
Which is wild. Yep. Okay. Go to the first objective first. That's good. We've got a campfire. That's good.
Glowing lights. This must be the Zenith base. Looks like I have a shield around the entire place.
It makes sense though, since Resident Evil 0 is the earliest game in the story. Yeah. Yeah, because I literally went from like, not chronological order, but I went from 0 to, you know, the number. I went from numbered order. I did 0, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we've done Code Veronica as well now. And then we've got the Revelations games. I think I played through at some point. One in Revelations 1 and 2. Not sure when I'll play them. Oh, Scorcher, that's new.
There's the waterfall and killing machines as promised. If I'm right, there should be a lure around here. I might be able to find it with my focus. Scorcher's one wrong look away from a firefight.
Oh yeah. Jesus. Alright. Okay, I see where the issues lie. Oh! Okay, that was a quicker kill than others I've had. I'll give off. Wait. Dead.
There. It's clear. Now let's see if there's a lure around here.
Oh yeah, they were, weren't they? They were in the DLC Scorchers. Yeah, it was Scorchers, the Claw, Fire Claws, Cross Claw, Fire Claw. They were in the DLC as well. Zero Dawn. There was a couple of others, wasn't there, as well?
machine lore. Just what I thought. But this one looks advanced. Like Zenith tech. I better take a closer look.
That is very
Okay,
posh.
let's see if I can turn this thing on. There's data here. Looks like a log. From something called the Julius? Some Zenith era? It says local vermin exterminated. Have they tracked any machines to kill intruders here?
Probably.
Guess this lore's shut down now. Diving in.
Oh, ads. Oh, it's been an hour already? Shit. That's fine. We'll let it'll just be me running around for a little bit, so that's fine. When we get to the next like objective area, if before the ads finish, then I'll pause it.
I should be able to climb up here.
We don't miss any nice.
Okay. I think I'm in the area Ibira mentioned. There's
Oh.
definitely deadly machines here. If there's a lure nearby, my focus can
Fuck my life.
Machine's weak against frost.
There's a thunderjaw and an elephant. Like, hello? Recipe for absolute fucking disaster. Ah, cool. Oh boy, this is gonna be real fun. But yeah, I think going forward, just for like stream scheduling, I think Sundays I'm just gonna take off. I'm not gonna stream on Sundays. Just end of story. Just so I can I can chill. And if I need to upload any YouTube videos, I can do that on that day. So it gives me time to just upload my playthroughs and stuff. Because videos take, the VODs take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to upload the video. So it's not like 20 minutes and it's done. So, which is a shame, but it's either that or spending more time probably editing it and taking things out and streamlining it, I suppose. I have the software to do that, but I just don't want to do that. That makes sense. Yeah, welcome back to everybody. Yeah, we got a Thunderjaw to fight, and a elephant machine, which I don't think I've actually logged before. Oh, Tremor Tusk. Oh, we have fought one of these before.
I can't override that machine until I find where I cauldron.
What is it weak to? Acid and water, ice. There's water bow. Why is the Skydrifter like me? I could. Do I go for this now? Oh, it's nearly dead. Oh, Jesus. That's one way to drop its health off. Oh, fuckity. Angry. It's very angry. Buddy, calm down. Buddy, calm down. Okay. We're fine. We're fine. We just gotta take out the Thunderjaw now. That's good, actually. It went over there. So, gives us time to actually pound and heal and... Have a shot cannon? Yes, please. Let's go. That went actually better than I actually hoped it did. I managed to separate the fights. Really helped.
Another lure. Better deal with it.
I'm just chilling.
from the Julius. This one mentions a third lure close by. I better check it out.
How the fuck?
The Zeniths left these things here to draw in machines and protect the approach to their base.
They're clever. With their advanced technology.
Get a good glide in.
Got it. Whoa. That's a view. Hell yeah. I should do it more often, but it takes up storage space. So I don't want to do it too many times. Oh, there's the third one. I can see it in plain sight.
There's the lure. Have to take out these machines before I can shut it off.
Red eye? Weak to lightning. Lightning. Like snouts. Fire and water.
It's on fire!
Oh, it's pissed. Oh, it's pissed. Oh, thank you for the follow. Get it? That's why I delete the pictures of videos that get crazy. Hey, hello, Grandpa. What's up, buddy? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for the follow as well, by the way. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Sorry I didn't see you pop in there. My bad. I'm just trying not to die. How was the Sekiro practice, by the way? Was it last night? How was it? Did you know Taylor Swift was named after Albert Einstein about 110 years after? You know what? I can probably see that. Yeah. It's your dad joke. We have a dad joke command that like pulls all sorts of dad jokes. It was good? Nice, nice. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's start of a work week, which kind of is like a bit meh, but it wasn't too busy, so just trying to get some more hours into this game. So because it's a time sink. Milk is also the fastest liquid on Earth. It's pasteurized before we even see it. Yeah.
One of them missing to Nox.
Literally, it's just exclamation mark dad joke, and you're gonna get at least one, maybe even two. Depends on Seribot. Depends on how Seribot's feeling as well. Yeah, there's been some good ones. There's been some real good ones. I will admit.
There's a recording here.
Hey, shithead. I got a task for you.
Oh, okay.
Shut up and do what you're told. Use the indigenous robots to keep this place clear of local vermin. I'd do it myself, but Gerard says I have to stay focused, so have some fun for the both of us, huh?
Will do, benefactor Visser. You can count on the Julius.
It's lovely to see you, and it's awesome, cool to meet another new member of
Hey, shithead.
oh, stop. The team the team highlight as well. So welcome to the team. You said that that's why I delete the pictures and videos and get creative when you get trophies. Yeah, I'm the same. I think the only one I get I have like moments for, I think, is for platinum.
What's an Outlander doing all the way out here?
Clearing the valley? You must be one of the missing Tenakth. Everyone thought you were dead.
Nearly. Dax and Kanala. Are they...
Kanala's alive. Marshal Yvira pulled her out.
Speaking of...
Aloy!
Yvira. Couldn't stay away, could you?
And miss the chance to hunt with the champion in the Valley of the Fallen? Never. And I see you found
shit.
Now this looks like a fight.
You with me, Marshal? My
Oh.
is yours.
Oh, it's the Zenith machines. What the fuck are they called again?
Blood of the 10! We get to kill these things? What are they?
Please, Aloy, just tell me for reference point. That's fun. I haven't even finished. I haven't even, oh, specters. That's what they were. Yeah. Whoa. Can we calm down? Can we calm down? Can we just calm down? Yes, corrosion. Oh, that hurt. Please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Off. So much damage. Have you played Horizon before, Grandpa? Or if you want me to abbreviate it to the other ones? Do let me know. Too hot. Hot damn. Dad, stop getting lasered. Shot by plasma cannon lasers. Please. Thank you for the ammo. I appreciate that. Oh, that one's struggling. That one's struggling. Kill it with fire, please. That's dead. No. Yep. Limp. Limp. Limp biscuit. Nice. Okay.
I think I took care of all the lures. I should get away now.
Hell, just things are just going off. Jesus. Yeah, I was meant to loot everything, and we didn't get a chance to. I've been West treating you. It's treating me alright so far. It's quite intense in terms of like the combat and like scenarios with the machines. It's definitely one I've got to like really like hone in on and not take my eye off it, because I will get murdered. Even though I'm like way above the expected levels for these quests, I will get murdered. So it's kind of, yeah, trying to stay calm under pressure and all that good stuff. But I've been, I've been doing the hoarding of all the medicinal stuffs and whatnot. So it's, yeah, I think we're doing all right. We're doing all right. We're about level 41 at this point, so we're a good chunk. We're a good chunk of the way through the leveling side of things. Have you played Forbidden West before? Wait, I don't know if I've not sure if you've played this before or if it's game you haven't really tried yet. I do recommend if you haven't.
She needs a medic, but she'll live. Thanks to you. Gotta say, every time we meet is
This game is very pretty as well on PS5.
That battle was something else.
And I'd imagine it's the same on PC too.
No. I figured out what was causing the machines to gather in the valley, and put a stop to it.
Oh, good news for the clan then.
You don't want to fight more of those things, Avira.
I don't remember if I played this one or not. I've started the first one in the past but never finished it. Oh, so the first one would be Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn. This is the sequel.
Without a second thought.
This is the sequel to that game. So probably not then.
Is that from them?
Yeah. It's a kind of shield to protect the island. The machines drawn to this valley were meant to kill anyone who got close.
Meaningless slaughter. But definitely something for a champion, not a marshal.
Oh no, Rapid Dash, no. This game. That was supposed to be my fire pony.
The valley should be safe enough for a while.
I'm sorry, Abby.
To tell the rest of the Tanoks to stay.
Max, thank you for the gifted sub. Heart, appreciate it, dude. Get it. Thank you so much. Yeah, go follow local Grandpa. I say I just met him through Team Highlights, so definitely worth checking out. Dropping a follow. Stopping by. I appreciate the gifted sub. Didn't have to, but yeah, enjoy the ad-free viewing now, and some emotes, I guess. But yeah. So I think, are we done with this quest? We're done. Okay, that's good. Okay, so there's a rebel outpost there that we've got unlocked. All the emote spams. I got 5 skill points, so I should probably start. Triple notch. Yeah, we'll unlock triple. Rapper, yeah, why? It's just giving us a little showcase of the emotes that we have. A lot of them are Crash Bandicoot themed. Is apt because it's my favorite franchise series of all time, and I've done speedruns of them. Okay, so we have a lot of metal shards and not enough things to spend it on. I knocked that.
One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, mother. Up. 1, 2, 3.
Happy? Appreciate it, appreciate it. Look at how long that goes on for. It's so good. Can I make anything? Oh, 3 weapon upgrades? It's things. Oh, hang on, no. Secret Hunter Bow? Oh, I can unlock. Okay. Oh, that gets me a new weapon slot. Nice. Oh, I can level it up again. Nice. Hey, thank you for the crystal redeem checks. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Crystals. Good start. Oh, we've unlocked like advanced ice ammo. Okay, that's good. That's good. Don't want the bolt blaster. Ice storm, sky strike. Hold on. Hold the phone. I need to check what this is. So it's. Wait, what ammo is that? Is it explosive? Oh, it does more damage against aerial targets. Oh, okay. Okay. Sell that, to be honest. I need it. Oh. Let's just take it. There we go. There we go. Christ. Tonight. I'm feeling loud. Tonight's the night. Oh. That's glide. Thank you. Okay. See if you can override a bristleback. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. Do not do that. Whatever. Hide. Oh, that's an Apex one. Fuck. I can't do anything with that. This is explosive. I'm gonna head over to Talana then. Wait, is that a normal? That's gonna be an Apex Acid one as well, isn't it? God fucking damn it. Yeah, we'll set this quest as active. It's gonna be a long way on foot. No, don't follow me, please. I think bristleback. Over here, maybe. See if those non-Apex, because I don't think you can override Apex ones. Fuck. Well, this is a problem. No, I didn't think so. Am I gonna have to go back? Wait, can I override? Can I ride on a Claw Strider? Oh, it's mountable. Okay, I can. Okay, that is a good shout. Claw Strider instead. I bet these are going to be Apex ones as well, aren't they? I fucking knew it, didn't I? Really? Just... Well, there goes that plan. I guess I go on foot? Yeah, hell of a trek, but I guess I go on foot. No other fucking option at this point. Unless I go really far back and then fast travel. I could do that. Yeah, there's a fire bristle back site there. That's the thing. They don't. They just say they're just the machine type site. They're not. They don't say that if they're Apex or not. So that's a bit annoying. Fire bristle back site here. So let's try and get one. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, that's a not. Okay, there's one. There's one that's not an Apex one. Knife. Do your thing. Relax, relax, relax. There we go. Mount. Go. Oh, that works. So let's... Okay, you were able to rest at campfires to change the time of day. Well, that was shelters. You can change the time of day. I know in shelters you can change the time of day, but I just haven't bothered. Oh. Wasn't sure if you can do it at campfires as well, because I know with campfires you can save, but... Oh, you consider campfires? Ah, okay. I wasn't too sure. Didn't know. Makes sense. Right. This is going to make it a lot easier to get to. I'm going to try and get as many campfires as I possibly can on the way. I've got some sort of fast traveling like route. No, 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 no. Shh. No, no, no. You didn't see me. Oh, hunting ground? Ooh, okay. It's the first time I've seen one of those in ages. Okay. Good to know, though. Prompt was there on screen. Ah, my bad. My bad for missing it. I will have a look properly next time. Well, at least we unlocked another hunting ground, which will be good for unlocking things for the arena. Unlocking more stuff for the arena. Was that that's a fire claw. No, no, no. Ignore me, ignore me, ignore me, ignore me, ignore me. I am not the person you are looking for. Thank you for the contribution, Epi, towards towards Kingdom Hearts 1 Proud mode playthrough. Hey, Talana.
Thornmarsh. Quite a sight, isn't it? Never thought I'd find myself this deep into Nock territory.
Have you run into any trouble?
I've been keeping my head down.
Briskback's like,
Had to jump into the swamp a couple of times to avoid Tanakh patrols.
Well, I'm here now, so spill it. Who is Amatis, really?
Like I said before, he helped me put a stop to a hunter-killer machine out in the wilds. At first, he thought I was just another hunter from the lodge who only cared about the biggest machine trophy. And I thought he was just a grouchy hermit living in the woods. But then he trusted me with the truth. Told me how the Red Raids took everything from him. Seeing that side of him, I don't know, changed things.
he loves him.
Don't you?
I think I might, yeah.
Then why did you part ways?
When he told me how he failed to save the woman from his past, I told him how I made peace with my father and brother's deaths. He realized he needed to do the same on his own.
Wait. When we searched that Red Raid's battlefield together, you said he'd lost someone close to him there. I thought you meant a fellow soldier.
She was. Women aren't allowed to serve in the Karja army, but Nessa disguised herself so she could.
Oh shit, it was his fucking girlfriend, wife,
when he
whatever.
left to come out west, he promised he'd send word that he was alright, but his letter never came.
So you set out to find him.
And when we do, I'll have words for him for leading us on this wild goose chase.
Well, at least I kind of understand now.
Better believe that's where all my points are going now.
But when he learned that the Tanakh took prisoners back west, he kept going. So I guess now we find this
escaped.
prison.
I did some scouting while I was with him.
Yeah, I think the Pokemon game in my streams are rigged. I think they're rigged.
Nessa might still be alive.
I doubt it.
Oh,
Any
I'm
Karja
sorry.
prisoners from the Red Raids would
But,
have been killed or returned home by now.
Then what's Amatis after?
They must just see you in chat happy and they're like, nah. No. Not today. Not today. Oh, Thorn Match Melee. Oh, Melee Pip. I think if once I do that one, I unlock the last one. That can be good. What do I get for that anyway? Is it the enduring? Oh, I get my spear damage increases +1. Oh, okay. And 3 skill points. Okay.
I can grab this from my stash later.
That's a trap. It's a trap! That's a lot of traps.
Ha! Over here, you flaming hunk of scrap.
That's him.
That Fireclaw's right on his heels.
Yeah, hold on.
Alone. Come on.
Got you.
We've got your back.
They're helping, I think. Ice, baby. Vanilla. Ow! Fuck. Now I'm on fire. Yeah, nearly killed me as well, to be fair. Yeah. No. I mean, he got it. I mean, the traps got it to half health, so for fair dues. Wait, those hunter arrows. Wait. Oh. That's a car that you just threw at me? Yeah, cool. Fucking god. Very angry. Run. No, I know what ice is. Okay, alright, alright. In the famous words of Sia, I am still breathing. I'm alive! Oh, give over. Come on. Let's go. What do you mean, Jack? For everyday life? Ow. Ow. To be fair, the main reason I don't catch anything is I don't even do the command. I'm just like, there. I'm like, what is
You were
Pokemon?
supposed to let me know you were okay.
I was going to send the message right after I crossed into the desert with an Oseram caravan. But when it became clear that the tunnel had collapsed behind us, I figured the only thing I could do was press on. Seeing as you found a way out here, however, clearly I was wrong. I'm sorry. The last thing I wanted was to worry you.
She's like, I'm...
So, you must be Amatis.
And you must be Aloy. Talana's told me a lot about you.
Cool. He's a cool looking dude.
I guess you must know about me.
A little. We know you're headed for the rot. But what are you hoping to find there?
A clue. Or a shred of one. Anything about Nessa's fate. Maybe she died on the battlefield. Or maybe she wasted away in that prison. Either way, I have...
Might be generational differences. Probably.
Talana told me about you and Nessa during the Red Raids.
Yeah, my brother and sister liked Pokemon growing up. Like, they used to collect. They used to do a lot of card collecting, but I never played any of the games or did any of the card collecting myself.
She was proud to serve the Sundom.
I did collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I just didn't know what I was like. I think a Gate Guardian's pretty good because he had like all the stars along the top. And I was like, yeah, probably.
We did what we could to protect innocent lives. It felt like we were the only ones who objected to the slaughter. And yes, we were close. Until the Battle of the Burning Blooms.
The battle?
What happened at the Battle of the Burning Blooms?
I had intel that the Tanakh forces were greater than we had anticipated.
I
I tried to convince the commander to halt the attack. He was
Yeah.
drunken.
Oh, what's it? There was Blue Eyes White Dragon.
To reveal his
That was quite a popular one.
command. He pulled a knife on me. So I killed him.
In self-defense.
It was still murder. I was condemned. But I thought at
Nope,
least
not a single Pokemon game.
still save Nessa. I was too late.
Not even like Pokemon Snap. Or something like, you know, something random like that.
Already burning. Her soldiers slaughtered.
Nope.
Or missing.
I did play Digimon World 1 on PlayStation 1 once upon a time.
Been on the run ever since.
But the Red Raids are long over. Sun
Again,
can't
I was like
kill you if you-
8, so I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
A pardon from Avad won't stop bounty hunters eager to claim their prize.
So, you and...
I mean, I love Yu-Gi-Oh too, but damn.
Sounds like the two of you had an...
I'm sure we'll play a Pokemon game at some point. I don't know which one to play though. That's the only problem. Like, I have a Switch, so there's the games on the Switch I could play.
The scruffy hermit in the woods certainly tried.
That was foolish of him, in hindsight.
But yeah. Yeah, Digimon. Yeah.
Well, we're here now. So
It was
let's
pretty
take it
weird
back.
because he was like, "Oh, you're in a virtual world," and it's like you've got monsters. And I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "But I don't. I just want to play game."
I know better than to try to talk you out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Come then. The
I think I feel like I would better grasp them now than when I was like 8.
How did you find it?
I overheard a Tanuk patrol.
Sorry, I'm just gathering medicinal
You
supplies.
with us, Nora? Then let's get going.
Sorry, I had to check something out. You were saying something before I left?
As I was saying, I overheard a Tanuk patrol from the nearby village talking about it. Figured it out from there.
What were you gonna do if we hadn't found you? Take it on alone?
I only need to question one guard. Figure.
Okay. What are we fighting? Yeah, I don't even know what we're doing here.
There it is.
Oh, the rot.
The rot.
Those are Regala's rebels. They're waging civil war against the rest of the Tanakh. They must have taken over the prison.
Then they would have killed any of the guards. They were my last hope of finding out if Nessa was there.
Maybe not. There might still be some clue inside.
Even after all this time?
Aloy
Oh,
can see
actually.
much more than you or I.
And let's do it. Any scrap of hope is better than nothing.
I think I installed Pokemon Go when it was like first popular for like a day, and then I was like, nah. But I don't think I mean, it's a Pokemon game, quote unquote, but I wouldn't class it as a proper title.
Thank you for doing this, Aloy. I hope I'll find the answers inside.
Markup. I played Pogo every day since it launched. Really? I can see why it's so addictive. I do see it. I do see the appeal. Sure. It's just not, as I say, because my lack of interest in Pokemon, it was like, eh. I'm just marking everybody so I know where everybody is. I met so many people, wonderful people playing it. Oh yeah, I can imagine like you go to like, because I think yeah, 'cause you do a lot of meetups, don't you? With the, like say if there's like it's like an event Pokemon normally in it, like if it's a certain types, it's always nice to meet up a bunch of people and then, you know, all get the big event Pokemon spawns in. That's cool that you met a load of wonderful people playing it as well through that. Oh, somebody hit your shield, somebody hit your head. Oh, Aloy.
Did we lose them?
Probably. How are you not dead? There you go. Thank you. I got my first Pokemon game for my 7th birthday while I was at Disneyland Paris. Oh, nice. What Pokemon game was it? Your pops even plays it. He's 58. Think about it. I mean, that's cool though. That, you know, your dad still plays it, and enjoys it. Definitely, like I say, Pokemon's definitely a game that's like for all ages and shapes and sizes and whatnot. Definitely feels like a universal game. Oh, Pokemon Yellow. Ooh. What console was that on?
The gate's open. Let's go.
Like Game Boy Advance or? I'm so sorry, Uppy. I see you went to catch it. Game Boy Color, nice. I'm not sure. I don't think I ever had a Game Boy Color. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Becoming a meme at this point. I've let them in. Don't you samurai swipe me, little shit. Bonk. Over here. Gladys, don't die on me, please. I was gonna say, can you like somebody murder? Okay, I gotta do all the murdering? Okay.
Think you can dodge my arrow?
Rigged. I actually started to think it actually is rigged.
As soon as the coast is clear.
Oh. Hi. Damn. And now I'm on fire. Everybody supersonic ring. Gonna keep you. Oh! Oh, just... Oh my god! Aloy just fucking snapped someone's neck. Okay. As one does.
End of the line,
What's that?
Outlanders.
That device is gonna call a machine.
Hey, Lakers. How you doing, buddy? Probably gonna call it from the sea, isn't it? Yeah. 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 This is fun, right? That snapped off. Arp, arp. One big seal. I guess it got Festus's seal of approval. Because it's aquatic. Probably. I don't know. If I just shoot it with chill water, I'll make it react, won't it? Well, if I get murdered first. Ow. Yep. And now I'm just holding my breath for no reason. That's fine. That's fine. To be fair, this probably came. This machine's probably come from Hydro City, Sonic 3. Wouldn't surprise me. Nice. Why did I make that million times more intense? That is the Sonic Borton. That is the Sonic running out of breath music for you. It just makes any situation 10 million times worse. It's just a known fact.
All right, I think that's the end of it.
Hear that?
Doing pretty well. How's Horizon been? It's going good. Horizon's been good. Good. I'm glad you're okay, Lakers. It's Neo as always. But yeah, no, Horizon's going great. We're just doing some side questing and catching up with old friends. Whatnot. Oh, yeah, it's always a time. Glad to hear you're doing all right. Have you been playing any games lately, or has it just been like work and chill? Cell door.
Here. Door's locked, but that last rebel had a key on it.
Shocker.
Freed by Karja. Have we not been humiliated enough?
It's not their fault you were locked up in your own prison.
I'm looking for information about a Karja soldier. She might have been a prisoner here 5 years back. Her name was Nessa.
The Karja Nessa was here. I killed her myself.
Oh.
Nessa.
I'll handle this. Go secure the grounds.
It's you, isn't it? Nessa, how?
It's
Why?
Rataka.
Let me get this straight. You were Nessa. You were brought here as a prisoner during the Red Raids and then became Tenakth?
The Karja forbid women from military service. I lived my life pretending, ashamed of who I really was. But the Tenakth measure a soldier only by their strength and resolve. So I took my place among them.
Nessa. Rataka. I've mourned you for 5 years. Why didn't you let me know you were alive?
I had a new life. I wasn't going back.
When I finished Valhalla, it was always a new area each time I think I'm getting close. They do. They always do that, don't they? Assassin's Creed games. Especially the open world ones. You think, oh, I'm done? No.
The way Amadis talked about your time together, I thought you'd still care about him.
It was 5 years ago.
I didn't abandon you. Before the battle, I tried to get Godiah to call off the attack, but of course, he didn't listen. I ended up killing him.
Then he got what he deserved.
I ran for the battlefield to find you. But you were already gone by the time I got there.
I didn't know. But even if I did,
Oh,
I mourned you, and then I moved on.
Was it on there a minute? Ooh. So shocker, she was alive, but she's now tonight. I've noticed a lot of the like prisoners from the Karja raids end up becoming Tanakh. And they actually like it better. They like it more. Kind of crazy. Oh. Yeah, there's a couple minutes of ads running at the moment, so just pausing the game a minute. Once we get through this. Oh. Good stretch. Past 9. Well, I think we've unlocked Thorn March, so we could try and do that. We could do the melee pit in there and get the enduring unlocked. I think the race nearby as well. That should be interesting to do as well. Let's see. Bump, 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 bump. Ooh. Hey, Lycan. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the contribution. Crowd mode and challenge. 61% now. $40K away. What does a pirate pay for his corn? A buccaneer. Nice. How you doing there, Lycan? Hope you're doing well, buddy. The goal is to complete base game before starting Outlaws, circle back for the DLC afterwards. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. There's a bit of I think there's a bit of DLC for that game as well, isn't there? Then one in like Ireland and then one in France. The DLC, I think. I'm not 100% sure though. Oh, I also bought some games today, by the way, for the Switch. So we're expanding the library for the Switch. And we're back on the ads, everyone. So I'm doing all right. How's Horizon? Horizon's going good. We just we're doing the Talana quest, and we just found Amadis, and then is Nessa, who's now a Tanakh.
The Tanakh killed me and the others who were held captive. But one day, one of their soldiers stopped in front of my cell.
It's going good.
A woman had ended up fighting for the Mad Sun King. As he spoke, I realized he was once Karja.
Vashav.
I heard how he fell at the embassy. He deserved a better death than that. The other prisoners he condemned to death, but he convinced the Tanakh to let me fight for my life. I won through blood and blade. I became Rataka and never looked back.
No regrets?
You were willing to wear a disguise so that you could serve in the Karja army.
There's a France one, yes. Dawn of the Ragnarok. That's the it was.
The Red Raids showed me there was no honor in fighting.
Ooh, a wild Tyrantrum.
When my comrades and I were brought here as prisoners, we knew no one would ever come for us.
I would have, had I known.
It's better this way. Beneath my Karja armor, I found I had the blood of a Tanakh.
So if you became Tanakh, how did you end up as a prisoner here again?
My squad was ordered to retake the rot from Regala's rebels. We failed.
Considering how much Regala seems to hate the Karja, I'm surprised her rebels let you live.
You're right. I'd be dead if they knew. But few Tanakhs remember who I once was.
What will you do now?
You've taken back the rot. My squad will ensure it stays that way.
Grand Trim is a T-Rex Pokemon wasting my Pokeballs.
Everything we've been through. This is goodbye.
I mean, you could just not put Pokepatch in the trap.
Always be here. Yours is back east.
I'm just saying.
You deserve better than how the last 5 years have treated you. I'll make sure you're granted safe passage out of the lowland. Consider it.
Oh, this is too good.
Farewell.
This is too good.
At least now you know the truth.
Somehow it hurts worse. He must think
Laugh
I'm
out.
an idiot.
Wait, I got the sound for this.
I just think you have a
Wait,
lot to figure
where is
out.
it?
I'll take you back east to the Sendem. After that...
Kalana,
Fucking damn it.
understand. I'm sorry it came to this.
The words of Cloudtrap.
Give me an Aloy a moment.
Are you alright?
To be honest, no.
What's going to happen between you two?
I'm not sure. He clearly has a lot more feelings to sort through. And I won't be anyone's second choice. I want you to have this. For seeing this through with me. No hawk could ask for a better thrush. Or a better friend.
Aww.
So, I guess this is it then. You're heading back east.
I think I'll hang around Barren Light for a while, before returning to Meridian. If you find yourself back that way, look for me there.
I will. Safe travels, Talana. Maybe I should check in with her the next time I'm at Barren Light. Seems like she could use a shoulder to lean on.
I don't remember something. Okay, so what did we? Oh, a lightning hunter bow. Not sure if. Hmm. I mean, 16151. To be honest, I could probably not have. Oh, that I think that unlocks Purge Water as a out weapon ammo type. That could technically replace. Were they ammo? Are they lightning trap arrow? Yeah, I think they're like trap arrows. Ah, payloads. Okay. That's good to know at least. Lightning hunter bow is a bow I use. Yeah, because it looks like it's just like you shot. It's like a lightning trap. You shoot. It inflicts extra damage when fired out while sliding or in midair. Okay. I might use it. I'll keep it for now, but I might use it. So then. Stained Blast. Roadcaster expert, smoke bomb. Oh, smoke bomb heal. Yeah, we'll do that. That could be handy. One of the ammunition is basically advanced arrows. Okay, so Thorn March is there. Those are the ones that have the different arrowheads. Ah, okay. I go to Thorn March and see if we can get the Pitmaster done, and then we can do the Enduring. Lana was over here. Remember taking a clothing person. Well, there'll be one in Thorn Marsh, surely. In. Should be allowed in, right? Thank you. Oh yeah, because I'm the champion of the Tanakh. Yeah, that makes sense why I'm allowed in here.
You could take another look.
Yeah, I could, but I don't want to. So.
If you walk by, you'll miss it.
Oh, you're a face painter. Oh, nice. Okay, so I got the Mark of Pride. I quite like that one, to be honest. Gwen one's quite cool. I'm not one for a lot of face paint. I'd rather the more subtle ones.
On a good trade.
Okay, Outfitter.
I've seen Outlanders before, but none fight.
Right.
Yes, I can work with this.
What are you doing?
Envisioning the best armor you'll ever own, child.
Okay.
Worthy of Hikaru's champion.
I didn't ask you to make me anything.
But I offered nonetheless. You should be honored. Any soldier worth their marks wears armor of my making, even Chief Hikaru.
Oh, okay.
Get me the right resources and I'll craft something that'll make you the envy of all three clans.
Are you finally getting it? Maybe. Maybe. Oh my god. Some nice stuff here. Holy shit. A Karja Behemoth Trapper? That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Ultimate armor for controlling machines. Aru Hardweave? Ooh. Aura Tracker, Tanakh, Marauder. That looks nice. Because it's got every slot is taken up, like in the resistances as well. It doesn't have. I get that one. The Tanakh ones are good. Override machine elemental, machine health, quiet movement, mounted art. Definitely machine orientated. Like this is because this has got like, even though some of them are minus, that it has got resistances to everything, or it's got things slotted in everything. So I might get this. Don't get the one I'm thinking of yet. Ah, okay. Might get the Utaru Hardweave. Oh, for now. See, that is nice. I do like the look of that. The Tanakh Skirmisher. The only thing with that it's got like 5 skills attached to it. Get a lot of shit.
My offer still stands. A soldier
Good to know,
like
though.
you should only wear the best armor. And that's what you'll get at Open Board, Outlander.
Honor and strength. Watch you.
Down below. That's the one I haven't. One I've just unlocked. You can get weaves that can give you resistance to everything. That's what I have on the armor I've exclusively used. Oh, that can give you just like an overall resistance. Oh, that's actually pretty good. That's minus 20, minus 23. I wish I could upgrade like Vindicator, but it's no. Yeah, like if I can upgrade the Skirmisher, I'd love to. I'd love to have this. It looks so nice.
Outlander.
Alas. Skirmisher, I think is. Ice. That gives you potent medicine, which is like really nice. My medicine's more, it heals more. They're very rare, so when you find one, equip them on very rare legendary armor. Yeah, that makes sense.
Will you trade with the Tanakh? Attacking growth?
What have you got? Sharp shot bows. Oh, that looks fucking insane. Wrestling. Anything you're looking forward to seeing at Gamescom tomorrow? I just must, I didn't even realize Gamescom was tomorrow until like I think it was Saturday. I think I found out about it. I'm not particularly, to be honest, I'm not really fussed. I don't know if there is anything. I think I know. I'd imagine Xbox are doing some sort of show. I think they normally do. I think they normally do at Gamescom. But I'm sure I'll keep an eye on the gaming on the news and stuff, the gaming news articles and stuff. I'm sure something will pop up. I'll be like, ooh. I think Indie's getting a date on that at this show. Ah, okay. I'm hoping to see a Tales of remaster. There is one that is rumored to be happening. Oh, okay.
Yeah, our squads practice close combat drills here.
I think they did. I think I heard that they said that there wasn't going to be any Silk Song news at all, which is worrying.
I hate that we have to spar in it, but we don't have a choice. And just like the other clans pits, the rules here are the same. I offer training and challenges. You can use your spear and a training bow. All other gear stays with me while you're in the pit. If you can complete all of my challenges, I'll let you fight me.
And when I win, I'll earn a mark for the Enduring?
That's right. Once you've earned marks from here, the bulwark and scalding spear, you'll be able to challenge the Enduring.
The masters at the other pits didn't say much about who the Enduring is. I guess you won't either?
You want to know more? The sooner you earn 3 marks, the sooner you'll find out.
Oh yeah, Kaylee already shot that. Yeah, Jeff. Oh, Jeff. Yeah, he shot that down with the clan post. Let's 5 chances. So, destroyer chain, R2 power attack, then R1 pause. Think I can do this? Power attack. Is it? Fuck. Looks on the game that keeps on edging the Hollow Knight fan base. Yep. Am I doing it too late? I think I'm doing it too late.
Damage to a single opponent, break their weapon lock. Then, follow up with the destroyer.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going to do that when he fights me, and I'm going to shit myself and be like, oh my god, he's going to kill me any given moment. Spinning Scythe. When you do Spinning Scythe, R1, R1, pause, R1, R1. Hold the last R1 of Spinning Scythe to prepare a Half Moon Slash. While holding the stick forward, release R1, then hold, then release R to jump over your opponent. Reap and clear. Not reap and sow, I guess. Oh, fuck off. I didn't hold it down. Shit. Shit. Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, release R1 then. Oh, okay.
Control your
I got that.
space and not get surrounded. The spinning scythe not only hits multiple enemies, it clears the space around you.
What? I love how I'm like knee deep in mud. Once that game gets released, every Hollow Knight fans are going to be that loud. Yes. Yes. Right? I hope it does alright. It's just it's the fact that it's like, they got announced so quickly, and then we've heard nothing from it in like years, and it's just like I haven't played Hollow Knight, so like I've already, well, I say I haven't played it. I played a little bit of it of Hollow Knight. I haven't finished it, so I can't really speak on behalf of the Hollow Knight fan base. But yeah, in a minute. Energy Surge, R1, 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 pause, R1. Hold the last R1 of Energy Surge to prepare a half moon slash. I'll take it. Oh, okay, so it's the same, but not. But instead of doing a Reaper side, it's. Oh, I did press the wrong button. Press the wrong button. 1, 2, 3. Just too early. 1, 2. Really? Still too quick? 1, 2. Nice.
Then energize your enemy by chaining that energy surge with other attacks.
That worked. And Power Rush. Hold, then release R2 to do a power attack. Before the attack finishes, hold R1 to prepare a half moon slash. Then release R1, 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 R2. All Night is definitely a game that's definitely not for me, but I can understand that the fans are looking forward to Silk Song. Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I might give Hollow Knight a shot.
Starting with a powerful attack can be tricky because they're so slow. So use a half moon slash for speed, then link into other attacks.
We've unlocked the challenge now of fighting this dude. Go. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go.
That's it. You're done.
Back in a bit, gonna take a shower.
Make this a fight to be remembered.
Oh, what the fuck, dude? Oh, get off.
Stop shooting! Stop fighting! That's a good set of attacks. Let's put on a show.
Oh, nah, fucking. Oh, man. Off. I feel like one shield bash just does an absurd amount of damage. Oh, just fucking end it. Yeah.
You're done.
Oh. just fucking end it, please. Oh, fine.
Enough of the bow already. Two blades, one victory. This isn't an archery range.
Oh.
That's it. You're done.
And then I got his shield down, and it was like, yep, no, I didn't. I didn't. Just... Okay, come on, I can do this. I can do this.
Only one of us can win.
Not with just like that.
That was a good set of attacks.
Yeah, but you just
That's it. You're done.
like literally like, oh yeah, let's do the combos that you were trying to do, and it's like, no, sorry, I'm just gonna bully you. Ah! God's name was fucking that. It spun around like 720 degrees and was just like, yep, I'm gonna hit you. The fact that he's like, oh, I'm just like, whenever you attack, I'm just gonna like wank you, like. I'm just gonna turn around and shield bash you, and you're not gonna do fuck it. You just can't do anything about it. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Ooh, well fought in there. You really know how to knock someone out.
Brute force.
Here, this mark is yours.
Thanks. That makes 3.
Then I think it's time for you to face the Enduring.
There's all 4 of
Will
them.
you tell me who they are now?
You'll see soon enough. Go to the mountains north of the Desert Clan's territory. The Enduring awaits where the ruins of Metal Wings rise from the mountain. Good luck. And if you're looking for more practice, this pit remains open to you. I know I'd gladly accept a rematch.
Yes, again. So now. No.
I'll be off.
Until our blades cross in the pit again, then.
You honor the Tanakh.
Yes, we've done that now. So that's awesome. We've done all the pitmasters fight things. The desert in the. Does it tell you? Oh, it's there. Okay. Oh yeah, I can see like a pit there. Well, in that. Yeah, we haven't been back to we haven't gone back to base yet. Back to the base. I need to pop to the toilet as well. So whilst that's happening, go to the toilet really quickly. I'll be right back. But like, then once you've got that, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, the first, like a modern version of this would be fun as fuck. Well, the most modern version of this is Stuntman Ignition, which is on the 360. That's pretty fun because you've got like a star rating system, and I mentioned it earlier. No. Physics in this game is something, but yeah, I mentioned it. But there's like a star rating for each scene. So like if you do like, I did a thing, I think. I did a tang. My mind is telling me no. Oh no. About this game is I'm basically playing on a dodgy accelerator pedal, which is my X button. It's like sometimes it works fantastic, but then sometimes it just goes nope, and it's like, hey, you've got half power. It's like, okay, cool. Through the temple entrance. Random moments. It's great. It's great. Explosion. God, get up. Okay. I went too fast. Okay, well, we haven't been back to the main base in a short while, in a few streams actually, so we're gonna go do that. Side quests. Well, here we've got Lofty.
Get used to this.
Oh yeah, we got an errand quest to do. Summon the son of Prometheus. Where would I?
I should go to my room and check out the focus I found in that rebel camp.
At a close, they're weird. They're so tight.
For once I'd have to agree. I'd rip those things to shreds in a fight.
Guess they didn't move around as much.
This room.
Okay, the focus I got from the Sons of Prometheus is encrypted. But with a little time, I should be able to hack it. There. Got it.
Aloy, it seems you've recovered some.
Oh, hey, Silence.
Oh, you're not surprised to see me? You know, after you tried to sell me out to the Zeniths at the Hades Proving Lab?
Hardly. When I realized the lone hunters had been raiding Regala's camps, I knew you had escaped. Subtlety is not your strong suit. From now on, I suggest you stay away from rebel operations. You're meddling with something you don't understand.
What I understand, Silence, is that you've doled out machine overrides to dangerous people, and stoked up a tribal civil war. Again. I'm gonna put a stop to it.
Fine. Stubbornly blunder ahead as usual. Your efforts will only slow the inevitable. A warning, though. The Sons of Prometheus are very tenacious, and they want your head. There's nothing I can do about that now.
Oh, I'm scared. What will I do without your protection?
You should be scared, Aloy. More than you realize. But I have better things to do than educate you. Best of luck flailing about in the fog of ignorance.
Ow! One of these days, I'm gonna shut that arrogant mouth of his. Permanently. First, I have to figure out why he's doing what he's doing.
Indeed. Right, so we're gonna talk to Erin about some of one of the camps.
That's what the data says.
I'm telling you, it's a drink, but it's soft.
Hey, Aloy. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I'm just here to regroup for a bit.
Well, okay. What can I do for you?
I was hoping you could help me with something. It's about the Tanakh rebels, and it also has to do with the Oseram.
Really? That doesn't sound good. Let me know what I can do to help.
I discovered an Oseram militant group. They call themselves the Sons of Prometheus. It looks like they're the ones overriding machines for the Tanakh rebels. They're familiar with ancient tech, and they're as anti-Karja as it gets. They definitely have a base, a place called First Forge. We just have to find it.
First Forge? I think I know where that is. I was back in Barren Light checking up on the Vanguard when my focus picked up on another one of these. An Oseram. I thought it was strange, so I decided to have a little chat with him. When he saw me coming, he ran. Caught up with him and he tried to crush his focus. But there was still data on it. A bunch of locations and coordinates. One of them was called First Forge. Didn't know what it meant, till now.
Nice job.
You know me. Ancient tech expert.
Did any of that data mention a woman named Asera? She's the one who's running the group.
Oh no. You remember how Durval had a band of freebooters that retaliated against the Karja? Well, she was one of them. First female tinker in the claim to run her own forge. But when her family got killed in the Red Raids, she went bad. I mean, real bad. I thought she was dead, though. Taken out by one of Murad's guys.
She's not. And she wants revenge against the Karja. But I'm not gonna let it happen. Send me those coordinates, okay?
Now hold on, Aloy. I'm coming with you. Asera's the last of a line of killers that murdered Ursa. I need to be there when she goes down.
Of course. Send me the location and I'll call you when I'm close.
All right, then.
You should know. Silence is involved with the Sons of Prometheus. He's the one who gave them the override tech to begin with.
Why doesn't that surprise me? That's probably all part of some master plan, huh?
At least we know we're good at wrecking those.
Damn straight.
Damn straight.
How are things going around here?
Hey, you tell me. Varl's new girlfriend tried to kill me earlier.
What did you do?
I made one joke about how they, eat grass a lot. How does anyone fight with nothing but tree leaves in their stomach anyway?
Jesus,
From
Aaron.
the looks of it, the Utaru.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting her to be that fast.
Just try not to get hurt. I see someone's been playing Strike.
I'm just trying to get some practice in. Helps take my mind off things.
You should try playing Katalo. It's a Tanakh game. Maybe you'll learn something.
Oh, sure, Tanakh. Sure he won't try and kill me if I win?
Pretty sure. Do I smell ale?
I brought some over from Chain Scrape. With everything that's been going on, I thought we could all use a drink. Besides, there is nothing that brings people together like a good brew. That's what my sister always said, anyways. You're more than welcome to have some.
Maybe another time. You still sifting through loads of data?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's lots of words. I thought maybe I could try finding things with more, pictures in it. Not much luck there, but I did find out about these holofilms. Like images put together to tell a story. They were made to look like they were the real thing. The Oseram like shows. I bet they pay a lot of shards for those hollows.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like you're getting a hang of this data thing.
Yeah, it's been helpful. When I could make sense of anything. I did find the old ones enjoyed a good brew like the rest of us.
Oh, we
Only
sure
they
did.
let machines serve the stuff in bars. They even let the damn things cut you off before you saw the underside of a table. And that's half the fun. You won't see me letting a robot serve me a pitcher anytime soon.
What else have you been studying with your focus?
Yeah, I've been looking into this Vegas place you found. Gaia showed us everything that happened when you went to get that Poseidon thing. I mean, this Merlin guy seems pretty smart. Though, risking the Tanakh clan lands for a light show is a bold move.
His crew knows how to handle themselves. Mostly.
Right.
I should get going.
Back to reading, I guess. Do be careful out there.
Oh.
Aloy, it's good to see you.
Just thought I'd check in. It's hard to believe we're dealing with the original Zeniths. The same ones that left for Sirius 1,000 years ago.
To live on for so long, it doesn't seem natural.
Because it's not.
That weapon we found where Beta was hiding, any chance we can use that against them?
Sylens made sure that wasn't an option.
Why would he build something to hurt Far Zenith, yet allow them to capture you?
With Sylens, there's always an angle. We just don't know what it is yet.
He's like an Ascian, playing both sides of the story or war.
You brought up Rost before. I do think about him. You know, he was all I had. And he brought me up the best he could. Not only that, when Hades discovered who I was and sent the Eclipse after me, he sacrificed himself so I could survive. But that seems like ages ago. So much has happened since. What I'm doing now, I don't think he could even begin to understand it. The Sacred Lands were all he really knew. So I can't let myself dwell on him. Not with everything I have to do.
I understand. Sometimes, when I think about my sister, about what she would have become if she had survived the Proving, it hurts. And I just need to bury it for a while. But only for a while, Aloy. You can't ignore it forever. Memories always come back. The ones that matter, anyway.
I know. But for now, the mission has to come first.
Fair enough.
What do you make of this Tilda the Beta was talking about?
Well, the way she described it, I can't shake off the feeling that Tilda wanted something.
I do like all the characters in this.
Maybe because she's Elizabeth Sobek's clone? But whatever she wanted, I don't think she got it. If we knew what it was, maybe we could use it to our advantage somehow.
I don't know. I don't think Tilda and Elizabeth were on the best of terms.
Oh well. At least we can take some comfort in knowing the Zeniths don't trust each other.
Maybe. You feeling okay?
I was just thinking about Beta and all that time spent with the Zeniths. To think someone would make a person just to lock them in a room to use when needed, like some sort of tool. Elizabeth Sobek sacrificed herself for the world, and yet they have no trouble treating Beta like a slave.
Another reason we have to stop them.
Exactly.
How's training?
Discovering something new about our past every day. When we first met, you asked me if I ever wondered what this world looked like when the old ones lived here. I thought it was strange at the time, but a lot has changed since I left the Embrace. Now I'm just trying to make sense of everything I thought I knew and versus everything I know now.
The change is hard, but it gets easier over time.
Yeah, Aloy's got a head start over everybody because she's had one since she was like 8.
I should get back out there.
We'll be here if you need us.
Aloy.
Hey, how's everything going?
I am well, but Varl told me Beta's having a hard time adjusting to life here with us. I wish there was something I could do to help.
I'm not sure any of us can.
A tree won't bear fruit in a day. We'll do our best to make her feel welcome.
The Zeniths did a number on Beta. But she seems to trust Varl.
I still can't believe she told him the Zeniths are immortals. Old ones who cut themselves off from the cycle of life and decay. I've never heard of anything so selfish.
Crazy.
To deny our dying bodies to the earth. To doom the life that would bloom in their place. It's despicable.
That's what power does to you.
Are you guys training with Erend as well?
If you count trying to stick a spear in his gut as training, then yes.
I've been told. Please tell me you weren't being serious, though.
Of course not.
Good.
I was going for a couple of broken bones. He called the Utaru leaf grazers. Laughed at the idea of us simple farmers being formidable fighters. Before I knew it, he and I were battling it out in the common room. The man is slow, but he can throw a hammer around. Don't look so worried. We're evenly matched. For now. Next time he's going down like a load of boar dump.
Just try not to kill each other.
Injuring his pride should be good enough.
Is there anything I can help with around here?
Oh, no. We're doing fine.
Are you okay?
You and Varl have been friends for a while.
I like to think so.
I was wondering, what do you know about his mother?
Oh.
Oh.
Not bad, huh?
Why do you want to know?
He's spoken of his sister, Vala, but I noticed he avoids talking about his mother.
She's the war chief of the Nora. Best warrior the tribe's ever known. Tougher than a Thunderjaw, but she could be pretty harsh at times.
I see. That must have been hard on him. Thank you for telling me. I feel silly not being able to ask Varl directly.
I wouldn't worry about it. He's probably afraid Sona will scare you off someday.
I'd like to see her try.
Found anything else combing through that data?
Varl and I have been looking into the animals of the old world. Apparently there used to be thousands more species roaming around than there are today. Can you imagine that? I'd give anything to see them, even as holograms. Though I know that without Artemis or Apollo, that may prove difficult. At least I can find comfort in knowing Gaia used many of them as inspiration for her machines. Her memory honors them.
What are you going to learn next?
I'm not sure. I asked Gaia for suggestions, and she brought up data you found on something called a museum? From what I gather, the old ones would store knowledge in them for all to see and learn from, like you've done here for us. Maybe one day more people will be able to use this place to learn the way we have.
That sounds crowded, but nice. Varl looks pretty focused.
He's been obsessing over the data revealed to us by Poseidon. Just the other day, we read about mountains hiding deep underwater that spew fire.
Oh,
If I understand
volcanoes.
correctly, Gaia said the flames they release come from the very center of the earth. Like a heart, beating with the life of the world. As always, the cycle can be found in even the most unlikely of places. Of course, Varl's mostly interested in watching explosions happen underwater.
I should get going.
Good luck on your search.
She's... Buddy.
Strange.
Mind if we have a word?
Of course not.
You said the Bulwark was your home a long time ago. That you were part of the Sky Clan.
Yes.
That's all you're gonna tell me?
Fine. As you wish. My parents were killed in a clan skirmish, so I was raised by my squad. As I grew older, I came to be known as an accomplished fighter. Tekote took a special interest in me. I fought by his side against the Karja, and led my squad on a dangerous climb into the Daunt. It was I who opened the gates at Barren Light from the east side.
allowing the Tanakh to raise it.
That must have gotten you some attention.
Indeed. I was welcomed home as a hero, and I was content.
Then why'd you leave?
I became a marshal.
Why did you leave the Sky Clan to become a marshal?
I was sent to the Kulrut by Tekote. Back then, I would have obeyed his every order. I believed in him, like one would a father. I was too blind to see the fear in his eyes. Fear of a rising young warrior challenging his command of the clan. I returned a hero from the battle at Barren Light. But to him, I was only a threat. Never occurred to him that I had no interest in rising above my station.
Why did Tekote think you wouldn't be a threat to him if he sent you to the Kulrut?
Tekote knew that if I survived the Kulrut, I'd be forced to forsake the clan to serve the Tanakh as a whole. I'd never be allowed to challenge his command, even if I wanted to. After our victory at Barren Light, Tekote spoke to our people, said it would be selfish to rob Hikaru and the marshals of a warrior like myself. Even though he knew perfectly well I had no intention of ever leaving. It was exile, guised as an honor. One he knew I couldn't refuse. So I became a marshal, and never looked back.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I am not. Though it pained me at the time, a marshal is what I was destined to be.
When we were at the Bulwark, the guard said something about the Wings of the Ten. Hikaru also mentioned it at the Kulrut. Dekka, too. What does it mean?
The visions tell us that the Ten flew on great metal machines with wings, and leapt into battle.
Wasn't me, it was the one-armed.
For us, to imitate this feat is the ultimate expression of martial prowess. And it is why the challengers leap into the arena during the Kulrut. Many times I imagined it as a child. The feeling of freedom. And the awe it must have inspired.
I was grinding Fortnite last night pretty extensively.
What did Chief Hikaru say when you told him he'd be joining you?
I've managed to unlock the Gilverine page at like level 24. Battle Pass. So
He understood.
Wow.
Getting there slowly, you know.
I'm honored he lent me his best
So
martial, at least for a little while.
Indeed.
yeah, I'm probably gonna wait for the weekly tasks to come in and stuff. I'll probably play it. I'll probably like pick it back up Friday and Saturday again, Sunday, because I think Elden Ring this week is gonna be Friday instead of Saturday. So I might stream it. I might stream Fortnite Saturday.
Chance to meet her?
Briefly.
Good lord, man.
Old woman.
To be fair, I've been getting some dubs. I've been getting some solo dubs, and it's been.
Don't shoot her on sight.
She'll be careful. She's just looking for someone who might need her help.
Whoever it is, they better be worth dying for.
And I've also been doing the medals, the combat medals, like where you have to like get to it, like 20 players with one elimination, 18, 16, that sort of. And going through those as well.
I'm not exactly one of them. But anyway, the Nora can hold their own. They managed to push the Karja from their lands.
I thought my tribe was the only one to have done that.
Into the mythics, yeah. I keep dying to frickin' Captain America's shield, but then whenever I use it, I suck at it. I've had a few wins where I've used the jetpack and just kind of like been aggressive and just like launched myself, ascended myself up and like pushed them. Yeah, it's hard to find like. For me, like my ideal outfit, like setup, is like the jetpack and the turret, and then have like the weapons, like the dual SMGs, the burst,
Difficult to explain.
and the
Understand.
shotgun.
Only empathize.
Then you have my thanks.
Have you spoken with Erend at all?
I've had little chance to. I did see him bring some ale from out east.
That stuff's as bitter as salve-brush.
You get used to it, eventually. In fact, I wouldn't mind a drink myself.
I'm sure Erend wouldn't mind sharing. You said you were training with the Focus?
That's right. I've been watching holograms of your first fight with the Zenith Spectres. They are faster and more agile than any machines I've faced before. How many do the Zeniths have?
I'm not sure. Probably a lot.
I would not wish to face them en masse.
I'm with you there. Must be strange, seeing everything.
See if we can get through this bit, and then I'll probably call it a night then.
Machines like never before. Their strengths and weaknesses simply reveal themselves to me. To think that such a tiny object might be the most powerful weapon I've ever possessed.
All knowledge.
What do you think of this place? It must take some getting used to.
It's an efficient center of operations, and an acceptable training facility. Though it could use some more color.
Duly noted. Getting ether out of the grove made for quite a spectacle.
One that showed the entire tribe that Hikaro's mission for peace is the correct path, for it is now blessed by the Ten themselves.
Anything else you've been looking at with that Focus?
Gaia showed me the knowledge you recovered out in the desert. I am no chaplain, but I'd be curious to test if something I read is true.
What is it?
The Old Ones believed one could hear the great waters, even in the middle of the desert, if you carried the carcass of a water animal with you. They called them seashells.
That sounds
kind of gross.
Kind of gross.
Ah.
I should get going.
If I can help in some way, say the word.
I will. Thank you.
Alright, let's get out of here. Or I'll speak to Gaia and Alright, we're gonna call it here. I mean, it's been a minute since we've actually been in the base, so it's nice to have a little catch up. Next time, past stuff. I know there's a few during, and we'll try and finish up the underground, the desert stuff as dragon statue and whatnot. That's the plan. So we'll go like here, press in hidden ember, then we'll do enduring. And then, okay, then we'll go back to Scalding Spear and talk to Draka, because he's now in command. Yeah, he's getting on. So we'll do those. We have time. Oh, okay. First Forge is right next to Demeter. Yeah, then after that we'll continue going through this we'll then fast travel back to Thorn March, do the Gauntlet Run, Tide's Reach, and then the Tall Neck, and then kind of work our way up. Thank you, sir. I think that's the plan. I know there's a hunting ground, but I'll leave that for now. That's the play. Lofty ambition, Night of Lights, Burden of Command. Enduring. 4 things. Cool. And then, yes, and then we'll... I might go to that cauldron. Yeah. That's kind of where we're at the minute. Cauldron things, and then we're going to just try and finish up in the desert area and then work our way furthermore towards the coast. And yeah, I think that's the plan. So, but for now, we'll leave it there.
Don't let the pretty landscapes fool you. It's deadly out here.
No, don't apologize, Jax.
You shouldn't.
So we've gone from level 40.
Missed this chance to trade.
No, definitely slowing down in terms of level ups. That's fair because we are very high leveled a minute. So, what did you miss? I'm trying to think what we just did. We went back to. I did the Pitmaster in Thorn March, so I can now do the Enduring. I've got all. I've got all the marks, so I can go up here, do that. And then I went back to base and just kind of exhausted all the dialogue in the base. Just kind of caught up with everybody. Well, mainly Val, Zoe, and them on the errand in the main room. I haven't spoken to Gaia or Clone Aloy, Beta, but I think I will talk to Gaia once I get closer towards Demeter. But yeah, we're just I was just wrapping up now and planning on what we're gonna do now. That is going to be it, everybody. So let's see who. I don't know if you've seen Sav, but there's a new update on Twitch. I don't know if you've seen it. Where you can knock to collaborate with somebody. I don't know if you've noticed the symbols next to people's names on Twitch. Oh, Ben's playing Angerfoot. Yeah. Yeah. Go rate Ben. He's right unless he's. Who's our buddy Ben? Who's our go-to for Elden Ring? Our co-op buddy, Elden Ring. So, playing Angerfoot, which looks a bit wild. Not gonna lie. But he's a good time. Say hi to Ben. But until then, I will hopefully see you all next time for another part of Horizon Forbidden West. Also, this week, the first 5 streams of Horizon Forbidden West are going up on YouTube. The first one came out today, about a few hours ago. So if anyone did miss it, and you can start catching up. Story at least, on YouTube. Go say hi to Ben. Let me. Still going. Yeah, appreciate everyone popping in to chat, and thank you for everybody for hanging out and lurking and chilling. That good stuff. And I will see you all next time for more Horizon Forbidden West. Until then.